Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on TNA. Spoilers for this Thursday, and there's some brief news. What's going on in TNA Wrestling? According to Hulk Hogan, there's a big special announcement coming up on this Thursday's show concerning some news. And let me go on to it. Hogan's making a big announcement Thursday's Impact episode, as it's called TV Changes Spoken Through Hulk Hogan, including the following 3 items. Once a month, Impact will be called Open Fight Night. A talent from outside TNA will have a match to earn a slot on the roster, being there will be 3 judges, and ultimately Hogan will be the final judge, and will decide whether the talent receives a TNA contract or not. Number 2, an open fight night. Anyone in the current TNA roster can challenge anyone else, and the person must be ready to fight. This includes champions being ready to defend his or her title. Number 3, TNA's TV title, which is currently held by Devon, will defend every week on Impact Wrestling. Well, isn't it supposed to be done anyways? That's why it's called a TV title. Okay, well, the only other news is it's sad. Graziano family has had a death in the family. You know, the one that was with Nick Hogan in his car accident. The one, well, the brother had got in an accident. Michael Graziano died from injuries sustained in an April 3rd car accident, according to TMZ.com. Michael is the younger brother of John Graziano, who suffered life-altering injuries when he was the passenger in Nick Hogan's, a.k.a. Nick Bolia, car wreck back in 2007. Okay, Michael was also a passenger in a 1994 Volvo that slammed into the back of a dump truck in Florida. He was not wearing a seatbelt then, nor was his brother, John, when he was the passenger in Nick Bolia's car. It's simply dumbfounding to me that Michael was not wearing a seatbelt, even that his brother remains in a vegetative state following his wreck. Nevertheless, my condolences go out to his friends and his family. And now, thanks to PW Torch, writer is Travis Bevan, PW Torch app guru at Kayfabe Travis, reports on the Impact taping. Well, he says he's there in Orlando for Tuesday's Impact taping for this Thursday. You know, they skipped Monday's Monday night's taping, and it's advertised. I mean, this somewhat loosely. RVD, Jeff Hardy, and Hulk Hogan. For those who have never attended, you're basically get to hang out in a line under a roller coaster. Every now and then, something falls out of the pocket of one of the riders and hits a hapless taping attendee in the head. Hardcore. Some context. I'm part of the company that built PW Torch's very fine mobile app. New version coming. I'm a wrestling fan, but at this point, a very passive viewer. The advent of DVR has eliminated the need for a Teddy Long segment. As I'm positive many of you can appreciate, I appreciate good work rate, or I appreciate good entertainment generally. I get one or the other, and more recently, neither. Also, in the interest of full disclosure, I've never sat through a full TNA show before, not because I'm a hater of the product, but because I get limited time in my week, and have you seen Game of Thrones? It is just amazing awesome. So, reviewing the show, I don't have a pony in this race, folks, so let's see how tonight goes. And on with his ranting and raving on the show. Well, he says after standing under the coasters for a few minutes, he was herded to inside the taping studios area, a long and exceedingly smelly hallway. There does not feel like like a ton of people here, as opposed to people in line for Shrek outside. The crowd is noisier here, though, and lots of chants from one noisy guy for Hogan. A guy behind me is interested in wrestling news, so I direct him to the free PW Torch app. Universal Studios cast member makes fun of me for typing on my phone, but has a charming Aussie accent. Somewhere in line, a guy yells out, "I want a F Velvet," who I am assumingly is the knockout, and not a weird fetish. There was also lots of promise of it being a lot cooler inside the studio. We shall see live in the Impact Zone. Doors open and there's a mild stampede inside. There are lots of signs here and Harry Potter gear. It feels like something clever could be done there. Inside, the merchandise has a lot of day glow in it, really nailing the feeling that I'm back in the 80s. Also, a lot of direct auto insurance advertising. My outfits may leave me exposed, but my car insurance won't, reads the slogan. Well, geez, love. Put on a coat. Problem solved. Okay, my seats are staggeringly good. Vince McMahon was never this good to me. Automatically, I find myself giving the matches an extra star. I also regret the choice of not changing from work clothes prior to coming to the event. Lots of setup happening and some quick advice. The gloss stickers on the ring post would look better in matte, or what do you call it? It's like photo gloss. Just saying. Also, tons of Team Tara shirts. How old is that? She's the champ, right? Nope. In the title chase? Nope. Error. Hey, unlike WWE, these folding chairs aren't chained down. Now we've got a party. Warm-up includes showing the results of the lockdown on the nice HD screen. That's a smart move. I doubt many people here order lockdown. It gets the crowd invested. Dixie Carter comes out along with Taz and Mike Tenay. Holy cow, Dixie looks pretty solid. Jeremy Borash then comes out to warm up the crowd. He's really working the camera side. Christy Hemme battles slightly with the ramp as Borash runs down all the countries where Impact airs. Flag of Norway with PCW on it. New faction? Who knows? Some models are at ringside. Not sure what the story going on there. And at the start, it's not packed. There are some empty spaces, but certainly loud. I'm going to go on to say pipe. For those that don't know what pipe means, it's where they play a tape of a crowd noise for those that are not there. Similar to what WWE does sometimes too, because the crowd could be real quiet. As you can see, the fans just standing on at Raw on Monday, and they were just standing there, and you heard the crowd go wild, and the fans are not even moving their mouth, so therefore you got piped. Okay, well, start off the show. Out comes TNA World Heavyweight Champion Bobby Roode. Slow walk to the ring, and apparently he's got a huge haircut. Okay. Some basic gloating that the crowd isn't into to start off. He points out that James Storm's kick won him the match at Lockdown. Psychologically, folks, some decent heel heat as Roode runs through his wins, but then is interrupted by a serious face. Mr. Anderson's music hits, and well, his mic isn't working very well. Anderson says he doesn't need a beer bottle to win. This is hilarious to Roode, who tells Anderson to get back in line. This is a cue for Jeff Hardy, who gets a louder pop and limps to the ring. He's the most over so far, for sure. Well, there's only been 3 people to open the show, to appear so far. And stakes his claim to the belt as well. Anderson points out that he was here first and calls shenanigans. Rude moderates some bickering as refs take the ring and encourages a bake-off. Okay. This brings Hogan to the screen. He says that he wants all the champions in the ring later and makes a match for #1 contender slot for later in the night, which is probably your main event. And as an aside, Hogan's music sounds like a lame circus remix. They went to a break, and back from the break, it's Crimson with some pyro and this cocky heel walk and gumshoe. He's apparently in a tag match with Bully Ray, who looks surprisingly younger from his late WWE days. They are fighting Matt Morgan and Austin Aries. First match is Bully Ray and Crimson defeating Matt Morgan and X Division champion Austin Aries. Morgan goes after Crimson as Aries chases Ray up the ramp. Inside the ring, Morgan dominates until some hijinks occur. This leads to Crimson and Ray working Morgan's leg. Morgan attempts fate by pulling Crimson's tights uncomfortably low, then makes a hot tag. Aries cleans house, then leads to Crimson hitting Ray and being dumped outside. Aries gets in a surprisingly amount of offense before Ray wins with a fluke roll-up and the hook of the tights on Aries. Overall, a perfectly serviceable tag match from the teams. Nothing special, but a good level of offense given to the midget as Ray kept screaming. Jeremy Borash is out next to remind everyone that Eric Bischoff has lost the right to his name and is off TNA TV. Garrett is out next for a celebration. As they go to commercial, well, they're back from the commercial. Garrett is out with AJ Styles, Mr. Anderson, and RVD to celebrate. I suspect this will end in tears. Garrett is just not good on the mic. He makes RVD sound brilliant. Also, if they want him to be taken seriously, perhaps he should not wear a loose-fitting plaid shirt. It's also it's all in the positioning. Well, AJ compliments Garrett on his balls at lockdown, but here comes Ric Flair. It's serious suit time. No feathery robe. Flair stays on top of the ramp and claims that Eric is responsible for all the talent in the ring. Also, Garrett is a punk. Wait, all of them are punks. Flair promises a party next week as a tribute to Eric Bischoff. He's hosting it, and he's drinking at it. And the 4 in the ring aren't invited. AJ and Anderson sell broken up. RVD just looks slightly stoned. Told you it would end up in tears. Back from the break, it's Kurt Angle. His leg is taped and he's ready to wrestle because he's selling his hamstring injury. Thus he's out of the Olympics. And I read somewhere that one of the Canadian athletes is complaining that Kurt Angle has dropped out of the Olympics but is still wrestling pro style. Well, hello, Mr. Canadian, wake up. Wrestling is acting. Shh, don't tell nobody. Wait for it. Keep it secret. Okay. Well, back from the break. AJ comes out, who had time to change into his hoodie gear. And his wrestling gear, the hoodie vest. Match number 2, Kurt Angle defeated AJ Styles. Basic lockup and counters. Hey, couldn't this be a pay-per-view level match? It feels like something could be built here. Angle dumped to the outside, and down comes Christopher Daniels in short-haired Cass. Daniels has a paper and encourages Kurt to get him. But Kurt seems annoyed and surprised that they are here. This leads to Angle eating a move from AJ as Daniels and Cass sells concern. Daniels hops on the apron and his referee politely asks him to step down. AJ then grabs a paper as Angle rolls him up for the win. Overall serviceable while it lasted, but this was clearly a vehicle for Angle, which is a shame. Afterward, Angle tells AJ he had nothing to do with the shenanigans as AJ puts the paper in his tights. That's what I always do when I get handed important information. Okay, it's announced that RVD is also in the main event for the #1 contendership. Ring girl SoCal Val jumps two microphones next to me on a chair. Super tempted to grab one. After all, she was sitting right beside the reporter who's given these results. After the break, TNA Tag Champs Samoa Joe and Magnus are out. They are joined by Knockout Gail Kim. Gail's outfit does not look appropriate for ring work, but I'm sure it's okay and perfectly normal. TV champ Devon comes out to a big pop, as in surprisingly the biggest pop of the night. Gail Kim has a mic. I just clued into that. This is the all the champs coming to the ring segment. I had a real strange idea of what match was getting set up. X Division champ Austin Aries was out next. Weakest pop thus far. Finally, TNA World Heavyweight Champion Bobby Roode. Roode is still perfecting the slow walk. Finally, out comes Hogan. Biggest pop and pyro thus far. Gail has ceded her mic to Roode. Hogan announces that the change is in the air. And starting next week, change is coming. Once a month, Impact will be called Open Fight Night. Basically, a talent from outside TNA will show up to have a match. There will be 3 judges, smells like The Voice, and Hogan, who will decide if the person gets a contract or not. But there's more. An Open Fight Night, anyone can come to the ring and make a challenge, and whoever the person challenges must come to the ring to fight. Roode is pissy here. Hogan tells them that any champion may be ready to fight. Any champion must be ready to fight. Gail asks who decides this. Hogan decides. And the crowd randomly chants for Miss Tessmacher. Hogan says that he wants to hear who the fans want to see. Clearly, it's the responsibility of someone to call out Hogan next week. Just saying. Devon talks about how he promised to be a fighting champion anyway. Really? Wasn't he MIA between pay-per-views? Hogan announces that from now on, the TV title will be defended every single week. Devon likes it. Hogan closes the segment with a statement that on Open Fight Night, everyone fights. Roode looks dismayed. I shrug. Roode shrugs. We have a moment. Everyone leaves but Gail. It looks like it's time to test that outfit. Okay, this is where the reporter gives a mid-show thought. And he's quoted by saying, it dawns on me that if I'm seen on TV, it's going to be this guy in dress clothes typing frantically. The woman next to me seemed both nonplussed and very bored. What is their story? The mystery of the night? The crowd is clearly hoping for Terra here. By crowd, I mean the 2 guys with the Team Terra t-shirts on and cardboard knockouts belt. And that ended that mid-show thought. Okay, next out was Madison Rayne and Sarita and Rosita. Whichever one in the green can't figure out who figure out how to stand. Out came Tara and Tessmacher. Wow, TNT are back together. Okay. Finally, Mickie James. No, wait, Velvet Sky. 8 women tag. I'm getting why the knockout matches are popular with a collection of 13-year-old boys at ringside. Match number 3, Team Tessmacher beat Team Rayne in a knockout tag match. Sky started things off with the various spots and clubbering. James comes in and looks basically solid. Wasn't she told to lose weight in WWE? Sheesh. She isn't a ring masterpiece, but I'd take this over Kelly in the ring any day. The reporter says, this whole match reminds me of a slutty version of the cruiserweight matches in WCW during the 1990s. A lot less talent, but spots that the crowd likes and some genuine engagement from the crowd. I suppose Eric didn't know what to do with them back then either. It turns into a junior high school cheerleader brawl, and Tessmacher rolls up knockout champion Gail Kim for the win, and presumably sets up a match down the road. Well, duh, because I believe isn't it supposed to be the number one contendership if you pin the champion in a non-title match? Well, anyways, afterwards there was some bickering in the ring as Gail gives her best scowl and points to the belt. More bickering. Madison wants to go again, and the crowd is definitely interested. Instead, they all leave. After the match, some guys come out to wipe down the ropes. What kind of message is that sending? Borax is giving away some tickets to meet people later? Well, this must be their meet and greet afterwards. Then Christy Hemme enters the ring. Apparently there is a massive UK contingent here tonight. As they go to commercial, we're back for the commercial. It's Gunner. Zero reaction. Meanwhile, the crowd is being urged to cheer for tickets. Out as Gunner's opponent is Devon, who again gets a strangely loud pop. Sure, why not? Again, Devon gets the loudest pop of the night. Match number 4, TV champion Devon defeated Gunner. Gunner attacked him from behind. SoCal Val takes the belt with some really good scared selling. Some of the better selling tonight. Also, she let me take a photo of the belt. She's a good egg. It isn't such a good match. Also, both men seem blown up after 60 seconds. TNA encourages a Devon chant as he tries, but he's no Kurt Angle, and Gunner is no sack of flour. Devon wins. Apparently, he will be defending the title every week going forward. Testify! Oh, my brother, testify! Johnny Stormer's out next, looking sheepish, as if he recently lost a big match in his hometown. I know this because of the nice recap at the start of the show. Thanks, TNA. Johnny Storm is sorry. The crowd says it's okay. Very supportive crowd. Storm says he isn't just trying to hurt Rude, but cause him pain. Okay. Storm starts talking about tucking his daughter into bed. Then she asks him where the belt was. Sadly, he had to tell her that he lost. Didn't she order the pay-per-view? Storm says that Rude didn't beat him, but he beat himself. Storm then cites the crowd for his inspiration and thanks his dad up in heaven, who was killed by a drunk driver. Wasn't his team beer money? That's very odd. But wrestling is what he loves. He's kind of all over the map here. Storm says maybe his luck has run out and he leaves. The crowd is dismayed. Well, that sucked, says Val next to me. So I wonder if that was scripted or not. Next, they set up for the main event, number 1 contender 3-way dance between RVD, Mr. Anderson, and Jeff Hardy. Also, the next pay-per-view is advertised as Sacrifice. Yep, RVD comes out to a good pop. Anderson does his own announcement. You know, waiting for the mic. Okay. Which wakes up the crowd, but in the battle of the crowd reactions, RVD hasn't beat by a mile. Hardy's pop is okay, but RVD had the best reaction out of the 3. Much of the crowd was just standing there, and Hardy is mumbling to himself. One of the UK people got his shirt, and she seemed happy. Then hung it over the fence barrier. RVD's the champ of the crowd. By the way, TNA don't just cut off wrestlers' music. It fades away. It's more classy. Match number 5 and your main event. On TV, RVD beat Jeff Hardy and Mr. Anderson in a three-way dance to become the #1 contender to the world title. Typically three-way action with each wrestler getting a chance for a few moves of offense. Again, little reaction to Hardy's moves. Not enough teenage girls to paper the crowd with. Anderson on top, then RVD, then Hardy, then Anderson. Very structured momentum here. The ref then finds Anderson's gum and tosses it out. It's these details that you miss on TV. Hardy goes up for the swanton and nails Anderson, and the crowd finally comes alive for Hardy. RVD goes for the big splash on Anderson. Hardy goes up for the twist of fate. RVD reverses it and scores the pin and the win. The crowd is happy as RVD is a new #1 contender. Reaction of the crowd, reaction from that. Okay, he said it's an okay match, but it was more structured and fluid. It felt like a paint by numbers match. Move, plus move, plus move. Reversal, rinse, repeat. Not bad acts, exactly. Just a round robin spot fest. But crowd reaction alone, this was the right move. RVD was the clear favorite, and there was some excitement as the prospect of a title match. It was a little weird. He wasn't in the opening segment to sell the match that he would then win. But whatever. And then they wipe down the ropes again. I guess it's too wet. Well, they should for safety reasons. And they taped the Internet Explosion matches. Was up next. Match 1. Daniels defeated TNA Tag Champion Magnus. Daniels worked the crowd well, but the UK crowd is clearly behind Magnus. Daniels doing the heel things like selling, smirking, and playing a heel. Dear Gunner, consider watching Daniels. The crowd is also more alive for this than the main event. For the finish, Kaz comes out, distraction, roll up, Daniels wins. After that match, Magnus clobbers Daniels for some revenge, but is overrun by Kaz and Daniels. Out comes Joe, and the ramp sounds like it's about to implode as he runs down it. Joe scares off the heels, and it's posing time. Again, nice huge crowd reaction, seems legitimate. And reaction of the reporter, the match was generally fast-paced and decent. Magnus doesn't seem like the best worker, but Daniels was bumping like crazy for him and did the usual heel tactics too. You know, sell that he's the heel. I give Daniels credit, but it really doesn't seem that hard to make heel faces, sell moves, stall to rile the crowd, etc. It feels like a lost art because most of the heels tonight didn't do it. Magnus looks better, Daniels looks better. See how it works. Alright, comes some more stuff. Overall thoughts and conclusion. You read all the TNA commentary on PW Torch, and even though I admittedly have watched the show, I've seen enough of the comments to have a good idea of what's going on and the various criticisms of the product. So, what's right? Well, a handful of people were legitimately popular. Maybe some of the wrong people, but if the crowd loves RVD, then putting him up for the belt is not a bad idea. Unless, of course, the crowd in the Impact Zone doesn't reflect a national audience watching the show and buying pay-per-views. Some items are just crazy bush leagues. I think if TNA hired someone outside the industry with some marketing and visual experience and then listened to them, they would get a ton of benefit. Even a consultant that could just help with some basic things. Shouldn't the Harvey connection help here? Strange. I hate seeing such low bar problems with a company attempting to be on a national stage. What the show lacked was a sense of urgency and pace. Many TV tapings feel this way, and it's made up in editing, but I doubt it will happen here. WWE has this problem too. Even when watched via DVR at 3 times the speed, but if I'm TNA, I would be trying to up the pace of the show and give my wrestlers a frantic sense of urgency. With a smaller roster, every wrestler should be hungry for the belts, and there should be a sense of desperation to climb to the top. Storm's rambling speech wasn't that. We've seen it before. I can even hear Taz and Tenay's commentary about not knowing what they just saw already. I know what I saw. I've seen it from Cena, Michaels, Hogan, Hart, and a few dozen others. Hogan wasn't TNA's biggest pop and was introduced as the biggest star of TNA. The biggest star of the night. It's been beaten to death, and that's the problem. And yes, a big problem. Hogan doesn't wrestle. The GM character is also so tired, heel or face, that I think most wrestling fans have forgotten a world before such a character. The spotlight on the GM should be used to drive the story and drive urgency. What we have now in WWE 2 is something different. But the show was generally okay. The wrestling was short, but passable generally. And with low expectations of the work, it exceeded. The atmosphere is fun, but a darker, grittier environment might serve them better. And thanks for viewing. And that concludes the TNA results for April 19th, 2012.